we have been closely tracking the state representative from Maine, Laurel Libby, and her brave stand for female athletes in the face of some Democratic colleagues who refuse to acknowledge basic biology. Well, she was censured by her colleagues, I don't know, probably 2 weeks or so ago, and she is fighting back. She is taking a stand. So what's the latest on all of this? We're here to give an update on her situation is Representative Libby. Representative Libby, welcome back to Washington Watch. It's always great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, listen, let's begin with this. Perhaps there are some who missed your story last time you were on with us. Why don't you just kind of real quickly tell us about your stand for women and protecting women's sports in your state legislature. What happened?
Sure. So I'm sure that your audience remembers that President Trump issued an executive order back in the beginning of February that biological males were not to participate in girls' sports. Of course, Maine's stance has been that biological males can participate in girls' sports. And in late February, a biological male won the female pole vault state championship. I posted about that with side-by-side photos of the young man participating last year and winning 5th place as a male, and this year participating in the female championship and winning the state championship. And that post was what was objectionable to my Democrat colleagues in the House who, yes, have censured me, essentially muzzling me and completely disenfranchising the 9,000 constituents that I represent in Augusta. I can no longer vote or speak on the floor.
That's just unbelievable to me. I mean, your representative, your constituents, as you say, they've been disenfranchised by all of this. They elected you to represent them, to speak in their behalf, to fight for the values that they all hold and to vote for them. And so it's just stunning to me what your Democratic colleagues have done. Tell us about the lawsuit. What are you asking for? What's happening with this lawsuit?
Well, the fact is, I do have those 9,000 constituents who have been disenfranchised. I've been silenced, muzzled by this censure. And so on Tuesday, we filed a lawsuit with federal district court contending that long and short, they can't do that, disenfranchise my constituents this way. We're fighting to get my voice and my vote back so that I can represent my district once more.
And it's not like you did some heinous crime. I mean, what you did was obvious. The picture there is stunning. For those who are listening rather than watching, I wish you could see the picture that was just posted. Here is clearly a young man who competed as a man last year, same man, a little longer hair, but competing against women this year. And that's all you did, Representative Libby. And for that, you have been stripped of the right to speak and vote. Is that correct?
That is correct. You know, the Democrats in Maine that are in power in Augusta don't want to have a conversation about this policy because they know that it's wildly unpopular. We've seen that in the polling around the country where 80% of folks don't believe that biological males should be able to participate in girls' sports. And so rather than having a policy debate, they've simply tried to cancel me in order to shut down the conversation around girls' sports and ensuring that they have a safe, fair, and level playing field.
So have any of your Democratic colleagues responded to your actions? Have any of them reached out to you?
You know, they really operate as a block, one voice. And the couple of folks that I've spoken to since my censure think that it's completely warranted, which is why one of the reasons why we've had to file this lawsuit. I don't see an end to the censure coming from the Democrat majority or the Speaker of the House. So the only way that my constituents will see this resolved and see me be able to fully represent them in the State House is through action here in the courts and having our day in court and ensuring that they have a voice and vote.
Well, listen, that is one of the reasons that we here at FRC and Washington Watch have been keeping such a track on this. We are so grateful for your willingness to take a stand and to push back. And if I'm a betting man, you're going to win this. So before we wrap up, what would be your advice maybe for other state legislators who may be under some pressure similar to this? Why is it important to make this stand for women and women-only spaces?
We absolutely have to take a stand. I've heard from a number of young women in our state who have been dealing with this, whether it was being injured on the field of play or having an unfair competition where they were beaten by a biological male, and they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to make their voices heard. So they need to see us being the example. And I would encourage other state legislators to do the same, make a stand for these young ladies and help ensure that in the future they have a safe, fair, and level playing field.
State Representative Laurel Libby from Maine. I've thought about many times we need to have an opportunity to recognize and award individuals who take a courageous stand. And if we had that in place, you would be receiving that right now. I want to say thank you for standing for that which is right. You've got millions of people across the country praying for you, and we're grateful for you doing what you're doing, and thank you for joining us again on Washington Watch.
Thank you.